All right, let's go all the way back to the very beginning. In this explainer, we're diving into one of the most foundational stories out there, the two-part creation narrative from the book of Genesis. We're going to start with that big cosmic view of the seven-day creation, and then we'll zoom right into that really personal scene in the Garden of Eden. And it all kicks off with this line. It's so simple, but wow, is it powerful. It just sets the stage for everything that's about to unfold, establishing this singular creative force as the starting point for, well, everything.
So, before that first big moment of creation, what was the situation? Well, the text paints this picture of, well, chaos. It wasn't just empty space. It was a world that was unformed, dark, kind of like a swirling, watery abyss. It's like a blank canvas, just waiting for the artist to begin.
Okay, so out of that chaos, the first phase of creation kicks off. These first 3 days are all about giving the world its basic structure, turning that formless void into an ordered cosmos.
The first act of creation is done just by speaking. This really sets the tone for this whole first chapter. God issues a command, and reality just springs into being. And what's the very first thing to come out of all that darkness? Light.
What's pretty amazing here is how methodical it all is, step by step. So on day 1, light gets separated from darkness. Boom, day and night. On day 2, the sky is formed to separate all the water. And then on day 3, dry land pops up and it's immediately covered with plants. The basic stage for life is now officially set.
Now, you've probably caught that word firmament. It's kind of old-fashioned, right? It's from the source text, and it basically just means the sky. Back then, it was often imagined as this solid dome or vault that held the waters up in the atmosphere away from the waters down on Earth.
So, now that the world's fundamental spaces have been shaped, it's time for phase 2. The sky, the seas, the land, they're all ready to be filled, and that's exactly what happens over the next 3 days.
And this is where you see this really brilliant structure starting to emerge. There's a super clear parallel going on. The first 3 days create the spaces, and the next 3 days fill them up. So, day 1 made light. Day 4 fills that space with the sun, moon, and stars. Day 2 made the sky and seas. Day 5 fills them with birds and fish. And day 3 made the land. Day 6 populates it with animals and, for the grand finale, humanity. It's so orderly.
So there you have it, 6 days of divine work. The job of forming and filling the entire world is pretty much complete, and it all leads up to the final and, you could say, most significant creation in this whole sequence. And here it is, the climax of day 6. The creation of humanity is described in this really unique way. They're made in the image and likeness of God and given a very specific job to have dominion or stewardship over the rest of creation.
All throughout the week after each big step, the creation was called good. But now that everything is finished, the final verdict is even better. The whole cosmos, humanity included, is declared very good.
But this incredible story doesn't end with a burst of work. It ends with rest. The 7th day is set apart, it's made holy, not because something new was created, but for the exact opposite reason. Because the work of creation was done. It establishes this whole rhythm of work and rest right from the get-go. But wait, just when you think the story is complete, the whole focus shifts, like dramatically. The cosmic camera pulls all the way back and zooms in on this much smaller, much more intimate scene. We get a whole second creation story, this time centered on a garden. And this comparison just lays out the difference perfectly. That first account? It's huge, it's cosmic, it's all structured. God just speaks and things happen. But the second account is so much more personal and hands-on. God is described as physically forming man from dust, planting a garden. It's just a completely different style of storytelling. This second version gives us a ton of new details, too. We see man being formed directly from the earth. We get introduced to a specific place called Eden, a world that's watered by a mist instead of rain. And, crucially, it places 2 very specific, very symbolic trees right in the middle of the garden, which, as you can imagine, sets the stage for everything that comes next.
So, when you put it all together, Genesis doesn't just give us one simple story. It gives us this powerful pairing. It opens with these 2 narratives that really complement each other. The first gives us that massive, structured, 7-day framework for the whole universe, and the second one zooms right in on the personal, hands-on origin of humanity inside a beautiful garden. And that kind of leaves us with a final thought to chew on. These stories are thousands of years old, right? But their ideas, everything from the 7-day week to the very idea of a paradise garden, they are still so deeply embedded in our culture. So the real question is, how does this ancient creation sequence continue to